Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. In this first episode of 2023, we're taking inventory of our lives. Join us as we think about our health, relationships, work, and more. What do we want to keep? What do we want to change? What do we want to add? And what do we want to stop? Let's get started. Listeners, welcome to our first episode of 2023. Happy New Year! And New Year means new goals and fixing all the things you haven't been happy with in your life, right? Well, maybe not for us over here at Midlife Matters. We'd like to take a different approach to the New Year goal setting. While goals are really at their core a great thing, sometimes it can put pressure on us or have a negative connotation. And sometimes we're already doing a great job at something, and all we need is to be mindful to celebrate that and continue in the exact same way. So maybe this year we can have a cheerful and simple approach as we discuss our New Year trends. How does that sound to you, Julie and Mindy?
Well, that sounds better than overwhelming, everything has to change today. Maybe you're right. Maybe some things we can just keep going with.
Yeah.
We can't be doing everything wrong.
I know. We hope not.
It's a gentle approach.
Yes.
The word, simple, gentle. Yeah, the word goal setting, it's just scary.
It is. It is. And so today we're going to look at several different categories and ask the same 4 questions. It's almost like a little inventory of our lives, but in a fun and thoughtful way. And listeners, if you're in a place where you can sit down and write, you may want to write the questions down and join us as we contemplate the new year. And obviously, some of our answers, we're going to fly through these 4, and some we might take a little bit longer. But the 4 questions we plan to answer in each category are things we'd like to change, things we'd like to remain the same, things we'd like to add, and things we'd like to stop. So, Julie and Mindy, I love a good question and answer session. And it's so funny because I asked a few people these questions this week because I would totally want to listen to this episode, someone else talking. Right. But of course, I had a hard time coming up with things for myself.
Right. Agreed.
It takes a lot of work. It's not, to me, these things don't just come naturally. I have to dig deep and think about it. And
I do too.
It took time.
Mm-hmm.
It took time to think about and process. I kind of had to walk away a couple of times and go back to it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, in no particular order, we did just happen to put our health first. And we thought that health can be physical, mental, spiritual. So it's pretty broad, which probably made it our easiest category to think about.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at health. So, Mindy, you're the one that really came up with this inventory idea, and Julie and I love it. So why don't you start us off with...
But you go first, Mindy.
You lead the way.
Why don't you start us off with, and let's just have you go through all 4 in the health category. So what are some things that you want to change this year as far as your health category?
Ooh, my goodness. Okay. So things I'd like to change, I put reacting to a busy schedule or things in the future before they happen.
Oh, Mindy, I love that. Let me write that down for myself right now.
Listen, I put just take it one day at a time. And I'm taking a note from kind of how I went through the holiday season. And I was just giving you guys a little brief from that. And it went a lot better. It was very busy, a lot of people, but it was kind of a one day at a time approach. And anytime I started thinking about, I'm going to be so tired tomorrow because we're going to stay up late doing this, or, I got to get dressed again for that. I was like, no, stop. Like, you're right here. You're right now. Tomorrow has enough worries of its own. And actually, one thing, I went for a long walk. I love that.
Yes.
And so that's a very healthy thing for me to do. And I have to tell you what I wrote down that came to me when I was walking. We all have talked about how the Lord's mercies are new every morning. So the one simple sentence that I took away while I was walking was, don't let the mistakes of today define your tomorrow.
Oh, that's good, Mindy.
So I've in the midst of all of it, I mean, there has been just a lot of personal reflection, like how can I do things well? All right. So that was my change category. The same. I need to go to bed at a good time. That has not changed. You guys know I love sleep. I need to start my day out with water. That has been one of the healthiest things I've done. And just working out, period. I've been consistent. I'm going to stay consistent. I don't feel like I need to change anything there. I want to be more intentional with walking with friends. I've had several friends that are really good about asking me to walk, but I have neglected to be the one to ask. Okay. So I actually felt like maybe I should be more intentional about being the asking. All right. And the last category, what I need to stop. And this also was something I noticed about myself through the holiday season when it was really busy, is I have teenage boys and sometimes they come home late. And I just mentioned how much I love my sleep. Well, I need to stop snacking when I'm tired just to stay awake.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm not hungry. I'm just trying to stay awake.
Yeah.
And so I need to replace that bad habit with a healthier habit, because I'm already going to be tired the next day. I don't need to add a hurt stomach to that situation.
Yeah. Do you have something in mind that you're going to maybe replace it with?
Well, okay. So here's what I was thinking, but I'm processing it, to be perfectly honest. I was like, well, I could just go to sleep and set a timer for when they're supposed to be home. But, and then just have my phone on ring or something like that. Another thing is Bryce and I are going to take turns staying up, because the boys are at ages where they have more and more activities that keep them out late. And I can't do it all the time. And Bryce shouldn't have to do it all the time.
Yeah.
So at least, half of us are getting rest.
I've never thought about that from a perspective of an early bedtime goer, because I'm a late night person. So the whole waiting up didn't change my schedule. But man, if you were used to being in bed early.
Yeah. It rocks my world.
Yeah. Plus just the stress of it too, adding that.
Well, then going back to not, anticipating or dreading the sleeplessness or the tiredness, is I would anticipate, I'm going to stay up late. And that causes anxiety for me. So yeah, I have to have a plan so I'm not anxious, and then, just deal with it.
Right. Yeah. No, I like that, because I don't really like staying up late waiting for people. What happens is I would usually fall asleep on the couch, get a great nap before they come home, and then not be able to fall asleep in my bed.
Yes. That's every parent of a teenager out there.
Yeah. All right, Julie, what about your health? What's your health look like in 2023?
Well, I don't know if I took each one of those exactly. I focused on spiritual, physical, mental for me. So I'll just go through those.
Yeah.
Okay. For spiritual, I was reading this devotional back in December from that Oswald Chambers book, My Utmost for His Highest. And it was the verse in 2 Timothy 2:15 where it says, "Do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly handles the word of truth." And it's kind of a roundabout way of getting to this, but I want to journal more, especially how much I hear how much Mindy has enjoyed it and grown in that area. But it doesn't come naturally for me. Like, I don't want to sit and do that. I'm not one of these people like, oh, I've got to get to my paper and pen to write this down. I just don't do that. So I need some structure or prompts or some reason to journal. And this devotional just really hit home. Like, this is what I want to do. It said, if you can't express yourself well on each of your beliefs, work and study until you can. Strive to re-express the truth of God to yourself clearly and understandably, and God will use that same explanation when you share it with someone else. He said, make it a practice to stir your own mind to think what you have easily believed. Your position isn't really yours until you make it yours through study or suffering, which suffering I have known this year, but study not so much. And I don't know. I was just kind of tired because I've enjoyed writing a little bit this year, but I feel like I only borrow other people's words. And I don't mean like plagiarism, but I'm reflecting on other people's words. And I'm like, God, like, can you give me something like you gave C.S. Lewis or Tim Keller or, like kind of my own thoughts on something. And I think it's just because you have to put the time in, you have to put the study in and willing to dig deep. And I thought, I have easily believed. Like my faith has come fairly easy. I don't struggle with a lot of things, but I'm also not able to really express why I believe certain things. I've just taken it, well, I've always done it that way, or I've always believed that, or I was taught that. And a friend called not too long ago, somebody that I don't talk to, but maybe once a year. And she said, I was just curious, in your spiritual journey, have you ever deconstructed? And that word just like makes my stomach turn, because sadly, a lot of friends' kids have done this. And I think it could be a good thing, where you dismantle your beliefs and then build them back up to make sure they're really your own. And,
right.
But
Like
for a lot of people,
everything.
I think they destroy it and then just never build it back up, and they've walked away. So I said, no, I haven't done that. But I thought, I do need to sit down and evaluate why I say I believe what I believe. And I want to be able to express it to other people and to speak it clearly, and to, like the verse says, handle the word of truth well. So that is my direction spiritually this year, is to kind of learn how to express my beliefs.
Whoa.
Even if it's just to myself.
Yeah.
So that was my spiritual revelation for the year.
Yeah.
And physically, I want to keep working out because I really enjoy it. I had to take 2 weeks off because my trainer was not able to train for those 2 weeks. And I realized, instead of dreading going back, I was just so anxious to go back. And then when I went back, it was just so fun. I just really love it. But I need to do more. Like 1 day a week is not enough. So I have a plan that I'm going to talk about later to how to make that happen.
Okay, good.
Mental health, basically, I need to stay out of the grocery store.
Really?
And y'all, I know I sound like a broken record on this topic.
And that's mental health. That's not even physical health.
No, this is pure mental health. I have got to stay out of the grocery store. So just all of it just really sends me into a downward spiral.
Really? Okay.
Just that there's no workers, that I'm doing all the work, that I'm paying higher prices.
Okay.
That they don't have the stuff I want. Things, same stuff I've been complaining about since the complaining episode. So
Right.
And y'all, I tried Instacart and I was disappointed. I had 2 bad experiences. So the way I'm going to fix this is I'm just going to do pickup, do an online order and pick it up.
Okay.
So, but I've just got to get into the habit of like keeping a running order, sending it in before I actually need the item. Like I'm just not in that habit. So that's my solution for mental health.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. And then I just, I noticed that I haven't watched the news in over a month, and it's like, it's so wonderful. So that's a keep on doing. I used to say, well, I want to stay informed. I want to be informed. But if being informed also means being so discouraged and so depressed, it's just not worth it. So you guys just have to let me know if there's anything like catastrophic that's going to affect my day-to-day living.
Okay.
Yeah. And I find that I can stay informed really just by reading the headlines. The headline tells you all you need to know. It tells what point of view they're coming from, what conclusion they want you to draw. Like, if you need to know anything more, then you can go ahead and click on the article. But pretty much the headline tells you where they're going. Yeah. So I can stay pretty well informed just by headlines. A lot of times people will say, oh, did you hear about such and such? And I'll be like, well, I kind of know about it because I read several headlines on it. That's all I need.
Right.
Yeah, I can't even look at the headline.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. But no, I hear you on the less news,
Yeah.
Probably this time of year, a lot of listeners have listened to less news and, they're maybe thinking they need to get back in touch with things in January, but maybe not.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't even intentional. You're right. It's just I've been preoccupied with other things. So, but I just realized how nice it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice break.
Yeah, really. Okay, so I'm kind of all over the place, but with my health, So the first thing I'd like to change, you know how people always have like these words of the year and all that, but I think that mine just, I don't know, I was thinking about it and I think like something I'd like to change and I think it would really improve my mental health, my physical health, my spiritual health is if I just remember the saying, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And I've told that to myself before. And in our Enneagram episode, we talked about how the one, it can also be described as the perfectionist. And not that I do everything perfectly, but that I'm not satisfied if it's not perfect, or it causes me a lot of angst and anxiety if I think people don't think that I'm perfect or that what I did was perfect. And so it's like I almost won't even try or do things because I know I can't do them perfectly. And so I don't know, I think that Enneagram episode kind of got me thinking about that tendency of a one and then just not wanting to maybe live so much in that. And so you guys, I never do this, but I even ordered myself a bracelet that says good over perfect. And it didn't come yet, but I don't even wear bracelets, but I'm actually going to put this on because I thought, maybe I'll look down and see it. I don't know. I just need something, but I just find it coming up even in like small or big things. Just like small things like, okay, I need to pick up some things from the grocery store, but this grocery store doesn't have absolutely everything I'll need. So maybe I should wait and place an order where instead of just saying, you know what? This grocery store that I am so close to right now has 95% of what I need, and I can make the rest work. Like just small things and large things trip me up. So I'm really wanting to remember that this year. Things that I'd like to remain health-wise the same. I think physically, I still do like my boot camp that I do. And even this morning, like they had a new trainer there. And that was really exciting because he just had a really enthusiastic vibe and he never stopped pushing you, like telling you what you should do the whole time. And that was kind of fun to like go back this year. And I hope he trains often because I enjoyed him a lot.
Oh.
Okay. So things that I would like to add. You guys, I used to be such a big reader. And I still do listen to a lot of audiobooks, but I don't find myself reading. And I really want to do that. I think I may have even mentioned that last year, but I feel like mentally I would be happier if I was reading more. I really just like it. So I've found that I don't really like reading an actual book. If I have an actual book, I'll read it, but I don't love going to the library anymore and trying to find a book. I really just want to use the Libby app, which if you have that on your phone, it's like your local library. It's like all the books are at your fingertips. And I kind of feel like I'm cheating on my husband or something. And my husband would be the library. Because like I used to say, oh, I love to walk into a library and just the smell. I feel bad saying like, I really just want to scroll and find my book on my phone. And then I feel bad about that, but I do.
Now, you're not talking audiobooks. You mean to read on a Kindle? Or
yes. Okay. And so I don't have a Kindle. I have a large iPhone because I've always told myself I like to read on the iPhone. And I do. But you know what happens is I read like a page and then I go over to Facebook or Instagram or I get off the book because on the iPhone, it's way too easy. Someone sends you a text message, so you get distracted from your book. It's just way too easy to get off track. So I know it's kind of like the person that says, I need to spend money to save money. But no, really, I think I need to buy a Kindle.
Yes.
Do you guys think so?
Yes.
I could never read on my phone. I hate being on my phone because it's just too... It strains my eyes. So yeah, Kindle would be so nice.
Yeah. And why
100%
you think so, Mindy? And why I didn't ask for that for Christmas. Don't you always think of like a good Christmas gift for yourself after Christmas?
I do.
Hey, well, let me tell you, go to McKay's because I bought mine used and it's never had one problem.
Did you
There's no
really?
Yes.
Oh, because that's one of the things I've been thinking is, of course, they're not on sale now in January. And I was thinking, do I want to pay full price? No, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. Okay.
Mine's pretty old and it's still like, it does nothing special. And I love it.
Okay.
Like, it's a way old Kindle. Yeah.
Well, and it's not like you want them to have a lot of bells and whistles. You pretty much just want them to show you the book. The less bells and whistles actually is the less distracted I'll be.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't need any notifications.
No, I don't want any notifications.
Right.
And then another thing I'd like to add for spiritual is something I got. I think I ordered it for myself maybe in November. I know I talked about before, and I know Julie's talked about before, doing the Bible recap. And it's a podcast where you read the Bible, then you listen to the podcast. It's like 7 or 8 minutes, and it kind of tells you what you read and what it kind of means. And it's really good. But in my perfectionistic attitude, you know, if I got off track, I got too discouraged to keep going, or I was just listening, checking, not even absorbing any of it, but just because I wanted to stay on schedule. And so I found this book. It's called the Bible Recap 1-Year Guide, and it's basically the written form of what she's saying. So I can open up like to to day 297, and it's written out what she's going to say in the podcast. Now, some of the jokes aren't in there, and it might not be quite as funny, but the meat of it is there. And to me, I can read something so much faster than I can listen.
Yeah.
And I know that it might only be 7 or 8 minutes, but I don't need to hear the whole intro and the whole outro.
Right.
Like, I just need to know what the meat was. And so this is helpful to me, and I can take notes in the margin, and I've been enjoying it. So for listeners that have been wanting to try out the Bible recap, I would highly recommend this book. It's like $18, and I really think that you'll enjoy it, especially if you are one of those people that feels like you need to have something visually in addition to auditory.
Yes.
Okay, so things that I want to stop. I guess the biggest thing that would probably improve me all around, and this is such a shallow thing, you guys, and how can I be 50 years old and not already be able to have this under control? I would like to stop scrolling. I saw a meme this week about all the things that someone could have gotten done while they were scrolling. And it's so true. And it's so horrible. And it's just awful. Why do we not have this more under control?
Well, we've only had to do with it, 10 years?
Yes.
You haven't had it all 50 years of your life.
It's a new technology for us.
But it's not anymore, you guys.
But you can find everything.
I know.
Recipes, how to decorate your home.
I think this has got to be so bad for ADD, because I think I'm a little on the borderline ADD. And like you, Marie, I might be reading a book or looking at a recipe, and the next thing I'm shopping on Amazon and I bought something, and then they said you might also like this, and I bought that, and then I'm back to what was that recipe, and then I see someone, there's a notification coming in, and I'm all over the place, and I hate that, and then it makes me feel bad, like, why did I just spend half an hour or an hour doing that?
No, it's so true. Like, someone sent me a little video of Patricia Heaton this morning, and she was talking about how she had read through the Bible in a year. And so I watched that video. Then I got to thinking, and if you don't know Patricia Heaton, refresh your memory, she was in Everybody Loves Raymond. She's the mom on The Middle. So after I listened to her probably 2-minute little video, which I could have just listened and then put my phone back down. Instead, I start thinking, I wonder what her family looks like.
Oh,
Images of her family. I wonder what her husband does. Like, and is this relevant to my life at all? I probably wasted 10 minutes. And when you waste 10 minutes on every little thought that flips into your head, that's a lot of minutes.
Yeah, all those rabbit holes.
You did a character study. That's all.
I know. So anyways,
I always think about how I could use my phone to actually learn something valuable, but I'm too busy having fun.
It's just awful. So yes, I would really like to stop scrolling.
Oh.
Okay. Well, listeners, I'm sure that you have some things related to physical, mental, spiritual health. And even if you weren't able to write them down, maybe even just try to catch one of those rabbit holes and keep it in mind for 2023. But our next category was relationships. And so this can apply to our family, our friends, our neighbors, people we frequently come into contact with. What are those 4 questions related to relationships? Mindy, we are waiting with bated breath.
Oh my
gosh.
Let's see. All right. The first thing that I have started to change in the past couple weeks, and I long to continue to make happen, is I'm already very good at my morning routine. That's, getting ready for the day, having time in the Word, journaling. Well, I've been so staunch about making time for that it's really easy for me to ignore people that really probably would like to, feel loved on and have my attention. So this is something that I actually have started spending a little more time with Bryce in the morning. Like, he gives me time. He's very respectful that he knows, like, the journaling, the quiet time is so crucial for my mind to get right.
Mm-hmm.
But then we actually like spend time together, drink coffee, we talk, and we just, before everybody kind of comes down. And so that's something I want to change, is I just need to have time to talk with him before the day starts, because then it just gets crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So something that I want to stay the same with my relationships is saying yes to people. That could be playing a game with one of my sons, watching a dumb video with one of my sons, going on a date with Bryce, walking with a friend, going to an event at night, even if I'm worried I might be tired or not get the right food that I want to have. I mean, like, those preferences are so strong, So I want to say yes to people. Something that I would like to add into my relationships is me doing the inviting more. I mentioned that with my health, with inviting friends, but that also includes inviting people to my home. That's something that Bryce and I both would like to host more. Being intentional with our home and with our time with friends. And then another thing that I am adding is a mother-daughter trip. And I can say this out loud now because Abby got this for Christmas, but
great.
We are going on a mother-daughter trip this year. And it's something that probably won't happen every year, but it's going to happen this year. And so to me, like, that's important. She's going to be 23 this year. She will, she's going on almost 2 years of marriage. And so I'm done letting her have her honeymoon. Like, I need some time with her.
Oh, good. That's so great, Mindy. And a very good 2023 goal.
Yeah. Yes, I'm excited for that. All right. Something that I need to stop, and I mentioned this before, is staying up late every night waiting for my teenagers to come home. So I already mentioned that my fix for that, of course, we all know a lot of these things run together, but this is just an echo to Bryce and I taking turns and then just not staying up as late every night to wait for them. So even last night, it was hard. I knew Jacob was going to be in really, really late. Bryce is like, I got it. And I just went to bed.
Okay. Yeah. And probably the more you do it, the easier or the more natural that might feel.
It felt so weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm like, Bryce has got it. If anything happens, he'll let me know, but he's got it.
Those are good. All right, Julie, how about you with your relationships?
Well, I'm actually going to have a new relationship in 2023.
Ooh.
What?
Because we'll have a new family member coming in July.
Oh.
So my daughter and son-in-law are going to have another baby. So I'll be a grandmother again.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome. That's wonderful.
Congratulations. Oh.
Yeah. So that's, dynamics change again when you add somebody into the family. So I'm looking forward to that. And that had nothing to do with me. So it's just really fun to accept that and be happy for it.
Yeah.
But one thing that I'm going to add this year that I'm so excited about, this is kind of like a tiny little dream come true. You know that I've mentioned before that I've been building my Ganny library of children's books.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm out at consignment stores or whatever, or even online, I'm kind of looking for classic books, like in hard copies, pretty copies of the books. And I've got a good collection and they're all up in Andrew's old room. And I kind of got sad thinking, well, when am I ever going to read these? Like, my grandson's not here. And a chapter book would take a long time to read. So For Christmas, we got him this gift, and it's called a Yoto, Yoto. And think of it kind of like the very first iPod. Like it's a little cube, and it's a little audio player for toddlers up to 12 years old. Mm-hmm. And they just stick a little card in it. And a card is a book or a song, or I think you can even do podcasts. Okay. I didn't know they had kid podcasts, but apparently they do. And so, but the really cool thing about it is they come with blank cards that I can upload my own stories to. So John and I took a night this week and we read like 10 books, and Molly has put them on the cards and he's listening to them. And I can kind of say things like, hey, this was Ganny's favorite book when I was little. And I can kind of talk to him on the card. And so she said he's kind of getting ready for some chapter books, like he can sit a little bit longer, So I've taken the first chapter of Winnie the Pooh. And I thought, that's a big, long book, but I could do installments, like send him a chapter a week. And so that way I'm getting to reread the books and, give us something to talk about. And
that's so cool.
So, yeah, and I just love it that like John has gotten to record some. So it's his voice recorded, and it's not, they don't give him hardly any screen time at all. And with this, you really don't have to worry about limiting it because there's no screen or anything. There's no internet, no advertisements. It's just what we want on it.
I'll definitely link that for listeners.
Yeah. She said he's absolutely loving it. And it's meant to be where they can control it. It's super easy to operate, So that's one thing I'm adding that I'm excited about. Another thing I want to change is not leaving so much unsaid. I have lots of thoughts. I think lots of things. I have lots of feelings about other people. And then I just keep them in my head. And I think, well, surely they can tell by the way I act or by the way, I just assume a lot is transmitted that's not. And I'm going to cry here. Just kind of wanting to follow John's lead. I've noticed him doing that more and more. Even like when he's on a call with a customer service rep, like he'll say something nice to him. And I don't know, they got into this long conversation the other day. It was this woman's birthday. He wished her a happy birthday. And, like it almost made this person change from a robot to a human to know that somebody cared and was interactive. And I just don't do that. Like I'm just all business when I'm on the phone and and at stores. I mean, that I always thought I just don't want to be fake, and I thought, but no, I can do more to talk to people and engage with people and even friends. And I wanted to share the story, Marie, for my birthday. Marie came over and brought me a gift, and this was back in November. And, it turned into just sitting by our fire, I think for almost 3 hours. I mean, I looked and it was like almost 3 hours, and it was just a great conversation. Like to me, that was the best gift of just the gift of time. So in light of what we've talked about on the others, the What If It's Wonderful book, that was a way to lavishly love someone. So I just wanted to say that instead of keeping it unsaid.
Oh, well, thank you, Julie. It was my pleasure to sit for 3 hours by your fire.
So I just want to do more of that. Not always having to meet somebody at a coffee shop or a restaurant. Like I like being here too, and just welcoming people into my home and just doing more of that. And things I want to keep up doing is walking and hiking with friends. I do want to meet for tea and coffee. And my book club that I've mentioned is a children's lit book club. And we've already picked our books for the next year, and that's going well. So those are going to be the things that I keep doing.
I love that, Julie. I really do. Those are really good goals. As far as relationships go for me, I talked to my daughter about this, and I said, what are some of your New Year's resolutions, my adult daughter? And she said one of theirs is to go out to eat with someone once a month and have someone over once every 2 weeks. And I thought, that's such a tangible goal. Right. I need tangible things to do, so I don't know, even setting a small goal like the once a month thing. I mean, having someone over once every 2 weeks outside of family sounds a little bit overwhelming to me. But even if I said once a month or every 6 weeks or, but if you don't make a goal, a lot of times it's so nebulous that you never hit it. With friends, I don't know. I don't know why, again, 50 years old, but sometimes don't you shouldn't say something, but you still do. Because you might think, oh, it'll be funny, or how can I let this opportunity pass, or whatever. And I need to listen to that small, still voice before I speak. And I don't have anything major in this category to share, but I just know that I could do a lot. I could do a lot better at listening to. A lot of times you're prompted not to say something, and you still do. Why? So I need to do better with that. And then this is something small, but I am just bad about this. And so, Julie, you said you want to tell people how you feel more. I'm just sometimes stingy with compliments with my husband. I don't know if I'm stingy with compliments with other people or not, but again, I think it's that perfectionist. It's like, well, if you didn't do it perfectly, then why should I compliment it or whatever? But I decided, and we're only a couple days into the year, and Steve doesn't listen to this podcast very often, so I'm going to take a wild guess that he's probably not going to hear this one. I decided that I'm going to try to compliment him once a day. Now, that seems so small, but I feel like if you compliment someone once a day, you'll even start to think of them differently. Not that I have this huge thing to think of differently, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
Well, you'll notice more.
You do.
Because
you'll start to notice. Yeah.
Yes. So I would like to do that. So those are some relationship goals that I have. I didn't really break them down into the questions, but there are definitely some things I want to add and some things I want to change and stop in there. So
those are awesome, though. I love that.
All right. Well, here's a favorite of mine. I always want to know what people are planning to do in their homes in the new year. So, Mindy, what are some goals you have for your home?
Well, and I kind of put like my home life. So my home in general runs better. This is something that I'm changing just in the past 2 weeks and will continue to do because I've noticed it helps so much. And that's just get up 30 minutes earlier. And I put it under this category because it affects the entire house.
Okay.
This extra 30 minutes of me waking up gives my home is much more ready. The relationships, the function, dinner,
right.
The morning, if that, all of that happens so much better when I get up 30 minutes earlier. So that is something that I've changed and I'm like, on your iPhone, you can set that daily alarm or whatever. And you have like a bedtime reminder and all that. So I actually moved the alarm to 5:30.
Oh, wow.
Instead of 6.
And that's hard if you're staying up late too, Mindy.
Well, that's why we're not staying up late.
Okay.
Because 5:30 comes really fast.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
All right. Something that I want to stay the same is I really have made a concerted effort to cook healthier meals. And that needs to stay the same. We've enjoyed it. I'm adding to that. But just the healthy meals in general, that I provide better food in the house. Something I'd like to add is cooking more meals with Bryce. He and I are like a power team, and I never knew this. Like for 25 years of marriage, I didn't realize how well we worked together with meals, both in planning, preparation, and just the execution of it. And so by talking to him about meals, we have been able to, he takes so much of the load off of me because a lot of times it's just thinking about it or making the decision about it. And then sometimes also it's like, well, I don't know how to make that very well. Well, he does, he's been practicing and with all his different grills and he loves it. And it's like a new hobby for him. So like, why take that from him?
Right,
Give him more.
Right. Let's harness that for good, Mindy.
Fan that flame.
100%. And believe me, I am complimenting all the time because this is what I want to see.
Right.
And so this also leads into what we're stopping. We have started to notice this, and I think we have really come to believe this is true all of the time. We used to go to a restaurant to celebrate certain days, like somebody's birthday, we'd go to a restaurant, or, way to go on this, let's go to a restaurant. Well, we don't do that anymore. We actually cook at home because we're making better food at home. Now between Bryce and I, that those special meals come out. Okay, well, let's order crab legs from Publix, and Bryce can make steak on the grill, and I'll do sweet potatoes and Brussels sprouts, and like we're all in heaven,
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, that's what we're stopping for our special celebratory meals. We're having those at home.
Yeah, not to mention how much money you save.
Amen, sister.
Yeah, and just how you can talk as long as you want, and you're more comfortable, and you don't have to wait in line or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yes,
we do
absolutely.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. All right, what about your home, Julie? What are you looking to do in 2023?
Well, I thought about function and kind of its purpose. For function, I mentioned earlier that I was trying to find a way to be able to work out more. And in our home, I don't even have space to work out. Like we have a large coffee table in our den and in our upstairs playroom. There's just no floor space. And I don't have a place to kind of put everything. So our youngest son moved out, and he actually moved his bed out with him. So it's just an empty room. And I do not need another guest room. I already have 3. And I've kind of had a table in there with some crafts, and I use that once every once in a blue moon. I just don't need that size craft room.
Right.
So I've decided to make it a home gym.
Yay.
Nice. Julie, that's awesome.
Yeah. I even went today and looked at some flooring. I'm looking at mirrors for the walls, and I'm not buying any equipment. Like, it's just what I have. I just want the space, really. The space and the place to contain things. So that's what I'm working on now.
And that's kind of fun too.
It is. I love a January project, and I was already thinking of it on New Year's Eve. And then I was like, oh, how do I mention this to John? He's going to think this is so strange. Because I've thought about it for several years, but I've been afraid I wouldn't use it. So I don't want to put in like rubber flooring. I don't want to do anything that just where it couldn't be a bedroom again, Right. But yeah, so he approved it. He loved the idea. So
yay, that's awesome, Julie.
Yeah, so I'm getting that going. And I get to move my treadmill out of my bonus room because it's hideous.
Nice.
Put that thing out of sight.
Yes, out of sight.
Yeah.
And then for purpose, something that I would have liked to have kept going, but for the last 2 years just hasn't happened, is hosting and having people over. Like, that has been a part of mine and John's life for the past 35 years. Like when you said that Abigail was going to have somebody over every 2 weeks, like we did that. I think we had somebody over every week, and sometimes for lunch and then sometimes for dinner, that's just something we've always loved doing. And so this last 2 years, it's been hard. We just haven't done it, and not much. And so I have to find a way that I can still do that. And, John has felt better, and we have done a little more of that, mostly with family, but over Christmas. But I'm trying to look for ways that I can still host people. And book club has kind of scratched that itch, because that's just once a month, and it's just for an hour or two, but that's been good. And just hosting, I'm a mentor mom in a More Than Moms group. It's kind of like a mothers or preschoolers kind of group at our church. So this Sunday night, they're coming over for dinner, just the ladies. And back at Christmas, I hosted my life group ladies, and that was really fun. So just keep looking for ways and reasons to open up our home.
Yeah.
It looks different.
Worthy goal. Yeah.
Yes.
But I do want to keep looking for ways to do that.
No, that's such a good goal. Getting into the nitty gritty of my house, I'm pretty good at like surface clutter and like keeping the house clean, like I have a cleaning schedule and whatever. But I am not organized behind closed doors, like closets, drawers. Like, they're not overflowing, but they're not organized either. And a lot of times I am astonished at what I find in the back of them when I go through them years later. I'm like, what? This is 15 years back here I've had this or whatever. So anyways, I really want to get better at that, and just kind of go through the closets, go through the drawers and get rid of stuff. You know, we're always going through like new seasons in our lives. Even just the new year can be enough of a reason. But I especially feel like since my kids are at college, you know, how much of this stuff do we really need to save? Come on. Right. If you don't need it at college, do you really need it at home? Truthfully, right. You know? So I don't know. But along with that comes my photographs. And we have a love-hate relationship with photographs on Midlife Matters. We've had someone on, like, professionally tell us what we should do. I have made very few changes. I'm through 2019, my photo books. Okay. And so I got on New Year's Day morning and I thought, okay, let me just see where I am on this. And I went to the Mixbook site, and actually I had done half of 2020, which I thought, wow, that's good. But then I just was like, I don't want to finish it. And I got to thinking about don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. And last year when we went to Hilton Head for my parents' 50th anniversary, I made them a chapbook for Christmas of just pictures from that weekend. And it was so easy. I did it on my phone. And I thought, you know what? No, chapbooks are not my perfect, and they're not in keeping with what I've been doing, so they won't all look the same on the shelf. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They won't all be the same size and whatever, but I thought, you know what? Chatbooks has this yearbook function, and I could just do the pictures on my phone, and I could call it good enough. At least it's something. So again, in the interest of not letting perfect be the enemy of the good, I am moving over to chapbooks for 2021 and 2022. I'm only going to finish out that one 2020 on Mixbook, and then
nice.
I don't know. I need to check something off, and it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Anyways,
I like that.
It would make me feel better if I lost my phone tomorrow, at least I would have had them printed off somewhere.
Yes.
Don't look at my shelves because every year book is totally different.
Is it?
Different company, different size.
That's okay then. Yes.
That's good.
That's okay then. Okay. Our fourth category is ministry or work. And listeners, I know we're getting kind of long on this episode, but honestly, I will just say before Julie and Mindy even speak, I got nada for 2023. So you guys need to inspire me.
Yeah,
well, we better let Mindy go first.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
Mindy, work or ministry?
And Mindy goes first. Okay. Well, it's so ironic. Our work and ministry, these in my life go hand in hand. I will start with what needs to change. And right now, I'll say our church is going through a lot of change. And we're really praying through that and know that God has something amazing for our church. Well, in that, Bryce and I are praying, like, what role do we play? You know, do we need to do more? Do we need to serve someplace? And so this is something we are actively praying about. Like we have that kind of unrest feeling, like there needs to be more. Something that is going to stay the same, though, is I started leading a Bible study for the first time last semester, and I had never led a Bible study before. I'll just say facilitate, not lead.
Yeah.
And so I actually, when I overcame that intimidation last semester, I'm more likely to overcome it this year. Like it doesn't scare me. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's, it's not just me. It's a group of people. And something that I want to do the same is the Happy School book. Okay. That's something us on Midlife Matters. We went through a chapter at a time. Well, my parents actually bought me the study guide, and I'm starting to look at that. And a lot of the women in the Bible study were very interested in it because one of our challenges for the week was listening to Julie Gordon's interview on our podcast, because she's just she's so encouraging. And if we could link that number again, whatever podcast that was.
Yeah.
I would love to go through Happy School again, actually. My biggest news is something that I've added is a new job. And I am back teaching in the studio again. I did announce it just not too long ago on Facebook. This has been over 4 years since I have consistently taught a studio type class. Mm-hmm. It is my love, it is my passion, and it scares me to death. But I full on gung ho said, yes, I will do that. A spot opened up, and my first class was yesterday. And I will tell you that the Lord really answered this prayer, because it's hard to accept a new instructor. And I am a new instructor in this particular time slot. Mm-hmm. And I had an older woman come to me after class, and she said, I was really scared about who was going to come in because I really liked the other instructor and the other class. So I was praying about this class because I was really upset about the change. She said, but halfway through your class, I was praising God because he has over and abundantly blessed me with you. Oh, and this wonderful. Is amazing. I was like, what? Yeah. I mean, like every instructor's dream to hear. And she said, I'm going to tell all my friends how amazing this class is and how amazing you are. And I just am so excited.
Oh, that's like, wonderful. That's wonderful, Mindy. I love that.
I'm telling you what, girls, I didn't know if I would ever be back in this place. And I'm thrilled to have the opportunity again.
Oh, that's wonderful. Perfect to start out at the beginning of the year like that, too.
Yes. January 2nd, I was like, okay, here we go.
And classes are full at fitness centers in January. So you got a big audience.
Yes, absolutely. So, and there's nothing I'm going to stop because unless it's, negative feelings about one of those things. But I didn't think about that. So I don't know what I need to.
Okay. All right, Julie, what is your work or ministry looking like for 2023?
Well, on the heels of that, Mindy, I'm still unemployed.
Yay!
Going on 20-something years. So, no, I just, this is still an area that troubles me because I feel like I need to be doing something, and yet I know that maybe work or a real job is in my future, and I would normally start planning and seeking things out, but then I also know it's not the right time. Like I don't need to be doing that right now, and that's really hard for me to like just put something on the shelf like that, but I know that's what I need to do. So, but I am constantly thinking of my genius zone, and I'm realizing that, like, I don't know, when I was young, I used to think I've got to find the will of God. And I was always looking for it. And then I realized you don't look for it. You just are in it and you're walking in it. And he reveals things to you, And I thought maybe the genius zone is more like that it's not one single thing that is put in our path or that we stumble on, because, we've had quite a few listeners say, I think you girls are all right now in your genius zone with the podcast. And I appreciate that. Like, I don't want to minimize that. I do think that is true. So for right now, that's what it is.
Okay.
That's my genius
I love it. Yes.
Yes, me too.
And I hope it can continue. And I was thinking about the podcast. I thought, I wonder even if our podcast could morph into something different, if it needs to be tweaked or changed, or I don't know. Like, I think possibilities are exciting. So I don't know. We need to talk about what it might look like,
Yeah. No, I like that. Yeah. I don't have any great new ministry opportunity coming my way or work, but I am open to them, I guess. So, I mean, I guess I could say that I'm praying with open hands, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, catch me at the end of 2023 to see how it worked out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one final question, Mindy, you had written down, is there a waiting zone in your life? Like, is there something that's something that's on your mind, but just needs to wait? And it's not going to get solved right away, but it needs attention in the future. And I would definitely say that I guess that area of work or ministry is my waiting zone. But did you guys have something that came to your mind?
Well, for me, that is also it. And actually, my whole life is a waiting zone right now.
Okay.
We don't make plans past tomorrow, literally.
Right.
Like we have a tentative trip in the end of January that's we've got some reservations for, and airline and hotel. And that even feels weird because we haven't done that in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in 3 weeks, we're going to do this because we just haven't been able to do that. And so, yes, my future with a job or work all seems very unsettled and can bring a lot of fear if I let it. And I just wanted to end my part with this. Comes again from Oswald Chambers' devotional. And it was, he said, have you been begging God to tell you what he's going to do? And I have been begging God, like, what are you going to do? And you tend to think about that at the beginning of the new year. Like, all right, God, what are you going to do this year? And he said, he will never tell you. He reveals to you who he is. And that is so true. Like, he doesn't tell you what he's going to do. He just tells you who he is. And you have to trust that. And that really is the best answer. We don't think it is, but it really is. And the last thing he said was, believe God is always the God you know him to be. Believe God is always the God you know him to be when you are nearest to him. And I thought, wow, and for me, that would be the God I knew in 2022. And then he said, then think how unnecessary and disrespectful worry is. Like, if you know God this well and you know who he is, then that's the same God that'll be with you through whatever else is yet to come.
Right.
So that's a good word.
Definitely. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Do you have a waiting room, Mindy?
Yeah. Along with that is just, we have a lot of like physical things, like house projects that aren't finished. And so to be able to be at peace and at rest in your home with things that feel unfinished can sometimes be difficult. But Bryce and I both have had a conversation where like, we're just not there. We're just not there yet. And we may not be there this year. And we're both like, we're okay with that. So things aren't perfect. Marie, we both struggle with sometimes, like it's not perfect. We did everything we could to make it perfect. It fell short and we're exhausted.
Right. Yeah.
So it's going to have to wait because we're living in the meantime. Right. We're giving our attention to relationships. But a verse that's been very meaningful to me the past probably week and a half, and it just keeps ruminating through my mind, is Psalm 90:12. It's teach us to number our days aright that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And I'm pondering and processing, what does it mean to number our days aright? And, and I've read all of Psalm 90. It's worth the read to kind of help you process. There's hard stuff in there and there's hope in there. And it really has blessed me to read it and take time with it. And I'm not done with it. And so, but that's where I'm at, even with, being anxious about the future or having dread about something in the future. Like, today's enough. His mercies are new today. Don't let past mistakes or mistakes today define tomorrow, because his mercies will be new again tomorrow. So that's just where I'm at. Those daily time with the Lord to get my mind straight and right.
Love that, Mindy.
That's good.
Very good. Yeah. Listeners, we hope that you are encouraged by our life inventory. We obviously have some things that we want to keep the same, some things we want to change. We would love to hear from you. You can always find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast, or you can email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. We definitely appreciate the fact that you are listening to us talk about our year, because I know that even just saying these things aloud helps me think better. So thank you, Julie and Mindy, for having this conversation too, because I think it's good for us.
Yeah, it was good.
It helps with accountability too.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll talk to you next week in 2023.
All right.
Great. Bye, girls.
Bye. We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.